Hi, how you doing there, folks? I'm making this video to talk about Mike Bloomberg. One of the first things that he did when he came into office was he cut 4 engine, one-rider companies, 5 to be exact. Okay? One of them was Engine 212, the People's Firehouse, which is located in Brooklyn. Another one that was cut was an engine company that was over at 7th Avenue and 50th Street. Another one was an engine company over in Harlem. Okay, now Mike Bloomberg is actually saying that response times are faster throughout the city, even though he did this. But in some areas, undoubtedly, response times are going to be increased because he did this. Another thing is, the FDNY was already understaffed before Mike Bloomberg came into office. He made it more understaffed. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. I'm standing at 49th Street and New Utrecht Avenue waiting for the B11, the bus stop there, after coming off the D train to go to 8th Avenue. As I'm standing there, I hear the fire department going on a call. Okay? It was engine 282, rather 148, coming from the firehouse at 12th Avenue and 43rd Street. They go over to 50th Street and they make a left-hand turn and go to 50th and 13th Avenue. I'm standing at the bus stop, so I figure, what the heck, I might as well go take a look, because it sounded like they stopped close by, and they were at 50th and 13th Avenue. Okay, all of a sudden, the units that are supposed to be coming to support these two, I'm hearing them coming, but the engine and ladder company, the 2 engines and ladder company that are supposed to come to support these two, I hear sirens and air horns that sound like they're coming from very, 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 very far away, and I'm hearing them for the next 4 to 5 minutes. It was 4 minutes before they finally arrive, folks. Now, something is very wrong when it takes that long for a full alarm assignment to arrive on the scene. Now, just imagine if this would have been a working fire with people screaming out the windows for their lives. Oh boy, Mike, what are you, crazy or something? Now you want to cut 20 more engine and ladder companies. Now, just imagine if that turned out to be a false alarm. Just imagine if that was not a false alarm. That was actually a real working fire with people yelling for their lives, and there would have already been another fire in the area already. Oh, Mike, you would have fatalities right on your head, man. Because you're talking. With that being the case, the nearest engine and ladder company would be coming from anywhere from 1.5 to 2 miles away. Now you want to cut an additional 20? Mike Bloomberg, what's the matter with you? And you said you were not going to make any more FDNY engine and ladder company cuts when you were running for your 3rd term. You went back on your promise. It's not the only promise you went back on, Mike. You went back on your promise to create affordable housing, and I'm really driving this in every chance that I can dig in, because all that has went up is luxury condos, apartment buildings for the rich. In actuality, you froze Section 8, Mike. I read that in the paper. There's 39,000 people that are homeless in this city, Mike, because of the lack of affordable housing, Mike. Another thing you did, Mike, you went back on your promise. You said you were going to support mass transit. The latest MTA funding crisis, you have yet to step up, Mike, even though you said you were going to come up with a funding plan to have tolls on the East River bridges. You have yet to do that, Mike. You have yet to step up. You haven't did anything, Mike. In actuality, you actually cut mass transit, and you actually put more of a burden on the MTA by doing away with the 6 private companies and having them merge in with the MTA. So, Mike Bloomberg has failed to support mass transit. He's failed on his promise, really, for affordable housing, because all it has went up is luxury apartment buildings luxury condos for the rich. Mike Bloomberg is doing the FDNY cuts. Number 3. Another thing Mike Bloomberg is doing, what Mike Bloomberg is doing is, he said he was going to support term limits. He said it's a disgrace to have the law change, but Mike Bloomberg had it changed anyway. Another thing Mike Bloomberg did was he hired his campaign staff to the tune of almost $100 million. Mike Bloomberg has not really kept much of any promises that he has made. Mike Bloomberg is a con man.